Right, so to discuss about the some more things in the stored procedure. What exactly stored procedure in the SQL server? Not only in the SQL server, in Oracle also we have stored procedures, and in MySQL also we have the stored procedures, right? So what exactly the stored procedure? A stored procedure is a set of SQL statements already stored inside the database. So normally this is your application, okay, and this is your database, SQL Server database. In the last session already we have discussed this one, and this is your application. So in your application, when you are calling a set of SQL statements, for example, you are writing 1000 lines of the SQL command to get the result from your database. So a user is coming here, okay. So a user is coming here, and when he is logging into the application, this application, when it is going to execute, it will send a request to the database server for a particular data. Whatever 1000 lines of the SQL statements he have written inside this function, sorry, inside this application, those 1000 lines will come into the database server and it will get the data. It will give the response to the application, right? So instead of sending these 1000 lines from application to the database server, what we are going to here, we are going to store these 1000 lines of the SQL statements like a procedure. And so when you are sending these 1000 lines of the SQL statements into this database, the performance impact will come, because it is difficult to send 1000 lines, and it is difficult to compile every time the 1000 lines, and it is difficult to execute, because there is a sometimes a network issue also will arise. So to avoid this kind of situations, what we are going to do here, all these 1000 lines of the SQL statements we are going to put inside the and create like a stored procedure. So whenever you want to call, whenever you want to execute these 1000 lines of the SQL statements in your database level, simply write down a single command, execute the procedure name, whatever the procedure name you have given for this 1000 lines. So whenever you are sending this command, it will identify that procedure and it will execute all these 1000 lines of the statements. You no need to send these 1000 lines from the application to the SQL Server database. Then immediately it will give the response. It is more faster than our normal SQL statements, okay. Instead of putting entire SQL statements into the application, you can pass these 1000 lines and you can uh, pre-compiled this 1000 line set of SQL statements you can store like a stored procedure, okay. So this is the scenario we are going to create a stored procedure, okay. So I'm going to create one sample stored procedure. Create procedure. What is the procedure name? I want to use the procedure name is, so it's better as a naming convention whenever you are creating the user defined stored procedures. There are some already system stored procedures also there, where you can find out the system stored procedures. The system stored procedures are useful for only processing the system. See, under system stored procedures, under database, under program multi, these are the system data, system procedures, okay. So whenever you are creating your own user defined database, so whenever you are creating your own user defined stored procedures, so you can keep it u as the prefix. It is just naming convention, it's not mandatory. You can give any name. You can give emp info proc or any name you can give for the procedure, but for the naming convention and practice purpose, you can use u underscore emp info underscore probe. Okay, so this is the procedure name I'm giving. And so as begin, when we are begin, if you are going to write down more than single statement, you can use begin and end. If you are not writing more than single statement, you no need to specify the begin and scope. Okay, right. So I'm going to write down simple select statement. Select star from emp as e inner join department as d on e dot department number equal to d dot department number. Okay, finally end it. If you want to print anything, yes, you can print like this way. Print probe executed successfully. Okay, so whether this procedure is executed or not, you can print like this, right? So now I am going to create this procedure, execute. So where you can find out this procedure, you can find this procedure under the particular database MSBI2 and programmability. What is the database name? Sorry, what is the stored procedure name? u underscore emp info underscore procedure. Okay, so whatever the procedure you have written, if you want to see the code, someone has written this procedure. If you want to see the code, what exactly, you can write down sp underscore help text. What is the procedure name? This is the procedure name. So just execute this one. See, the code is coming. Just copy, and I want to alter this procedure. Right, so before altering this procedure, how can you call a procedure? How can you call stored procedure? Simply execute. The command name is execute. What is the procedure name? This is my procedure name. I'm going to execute this. See, the result is coming. All the result from this query. Whatever the query you have mentioned here, it is executing that query. And whether it is printed or not, you can see over here. Proc executed successfully, 14 rows affected. Okay, right. So now I want to modify this procedure. What modifications you want to do? Okay, so the modifications are, I want to remove this statement, and instead of taking all the list of columns, I want to take only some specific columns. Employee number, employee name, salary, department number. So from which table you want to take? What is the error? Ambiguous column name, department number. In what kind of scenarios we are getting this kind of errors? Because this department number is in EMP table as well as department table. So from which table you want to take this one? So you have to specify the table name. That is, I want to take from the E table. Okay, right. So how can you alter this procedure? Simply you can place, instead of create, make it alter, and you have to execute the entire command. Right? So it is modified. Whether it is modified or not, how can you know? So you can see the code sp underscore help text. It will take the updated procedure from the your database. Okay, right. See, copy, create procedure as begin. So this is the statement. We did the modification for only a specific columns. We have included the some specific columns. So now it is modified. So if you want to call the procedure same, yes, you can execute a procedure name. Only the specific columns are coming over here. Clear? Right. So now my requirement is, when I am calling this procedure, if I am giving department number 10, I want to get the only department number 10 information. If I am giving department number 20, so only I am expecting department number 20th information, like this way. Okay, so how can you do? So we want to pass this department number value as a input parameter for this procedure. So what is the input parameter? So we are going to send some values to this procedure when the procedure is executing. Okay, so how to create the input parameters? You have to open the bracket name after the procedure name, and the variable name is at the rate of department number integer. Create procedure u underscore emp info underscore procedure. The input parameter I am creating at the rate of department number integer. So for the input parameters, you no need to specify the direction, means whether it is input or output or whatever. So simply you can alter this procedure. Whenever you are doing modification for the existing procedures, you have to do the alter command. You just run this one. Now I am going to execute this one. So as per our requirement, it has to give the only department number 10 information. See, it is giving department number 10, 20, 30, all the information it is giving, because you are just creating input parameter. So whatever the input parameter you have created, you have to filter the data inside the query, where department number on E table or any table you can filter equal to at the rate of department number. So whatever the value you are sending when you are executing here, you are executing, you are passing 10. So the 10 will come into this department number, and that value will come over here and it will replace this one. Okay, right. So now you just execute this one. See, only the department number 10 information is coming, and if you are passing 20, only 20th information is coming. So if you are coming here, in what kind of scenarios this situation will come? This is the another scenario we can use as a stored procedure. That is, for example, if you are using any red bus or APS RTC or whatever, or a B bus. Okay, so when you are going to create book a ticket, right, it will ask, what it will ask, what is the source? For example, Hyderabad, and where you want to go? I want to go to the Vijayawada. So I want to go to the Vijayawada. So when you want to go? I want to go today. When you want to return? I want to come return on 19th. So when these people are designing this application, in the back end, they have written one stored procedure. For that stored procedure, 4 input parameters required. One is the source destination, and the second one is the destination where you want to go, and start date, end date. So they are creating total 4 parameters. For example, like this way: create procedure u underscore bus information probe, right? So one parameter is at the rate of source varchar, either it is Hyderabad as per our requirement, and the next one is at the rate of destination, where you want to go. Okay, and the next one is at the rate of start date, the data type is date, and the next one is end date, the data type is date. As begin, you have to write down select star from bus info. For example, my table name is bus info, where bus source equal to at the rate of this parameter, and I want the all bus informations, bus destination equal to this one, and start date equal to, and end date equal to at the rate of end date, end it. Okay, so what information this procedure will give? When you are passing this source as Hyderabad, simple. How can you call this procedure? Execute. What is the procedure name? This is my procedure, and I want to pass Hyderabad. Whenever you are passing string values, you have to keep in the single quotes. Where you want to go? I want to go Vijayawada. When you want to go? I want to go today. And when you want to return? 2016 19 03 19. So when you are clicking on OK here, search button, by taking this input parameter and this input parameter and this input parameter, these 4 values will come as a input parameters for the stored procedure, and the stored procedure will execute. It will give the result. What result it will give? The stored procedure is executing, and it will give the result to this application. So this is the information it is fetching from the table. Okay, so what is the current price in the table? Okay, so how many tickets are there, and what are the timings? Every information we are storing inside the in the backend database. So when you are when you are clicking on the search button, it will call this procedure by passing the input value to the procedure, whatever you are selecting in the drop down boxes. Okay, so in this way the procedures are useful. You don't need to write down for a new procedure for new requirement. New requirement in the sense, someone is coming wants to go to the from Vizag to Vijayawada. So are you going to write down a new procedure? No. Whatever the values you are selecting, those values will go and it will filter the stored procedure data. Okay, right. So this is the way you can create the input parameters in a stored procedure. So now what I am going to do here, when we are calling this procedure, the procedure will return some data. Select star from EMP, create procedure u underscore emp data row. The input parameter is department number integer, comma, I want to pass one more input parameter, employee number integer. Okay, so from these procedure I want to return only the employee name. So you can write down the where condition like this way, where, so as begin where employee number equal to at the rate of employee number and department number equal to at the rate of department, sorry, D number, then end it. Okay, create procedure. This is the procedure name and these are the two input parameters. Create the procedure. So now I want to call this procedure execute. This is the procedure, and what values you want to pass the department number and employee name. I will see in the table, select star from EMP. Okay, for example, the department number I want to pass 20, comma, and one more input parameter is 7369. So for this department number 20 and this 7369, what is the employee name? Okay, right. So you just, sorry, you have to write down the execute, not select star. Execute the procedure. Right. This is our procedure, right? Execute a procedure name, department number 20, and this is the 7369. You just call it. So it is returning the Smith. Okay, right. So when the Java people or .NET people are going to use this procedure, are going to call this procedure, this statement they will call. Inside the Java code, they will mention this information. So when this procedure is going to return some data, okay, so that data they want to return like a variable. Okay, so they don't want to use the data like this way directly. You have to keep inside a variable this data, and that variable they can access easily. For example, I am going to create one more variable in here. It's not an input, it's an output variable. It will take the output data. Whatever the data is coming from your stored procedure, it will save inside that procedure. Sorry, inside that output variable. So how can you create a output variable? Just make comma. The output variable is going to store the employee name, that is a data type varchar. What is the direction of this variable? You have to specify the direction, because for the input you don't need to pass anything. Okay, for output you have to specify, because by default it is a input. If you are not specifying here, it will treat the employee name also input parameter. You can put employee name as output parameter, right? So whatever the value is coming over here, you can keep here. Whenever the value is coming from this query, the employee name Smith, right, that will assign into this output variable. So then it will come over here. Okay, just alter this procedure, execute it. Command completed successfully. So now we have to call this procedure. So the procedure function expect parameter at the rate of employee name. So you are passing input parameter and at second input parameter for department number, for employee number. So what about this employee name? This is a output parameter. So when you are calling a procedure here, so how can you call a procedure with input output parameter as well as input parameter? So the input parameters you can specify directly here. So if you want to use, for example, this is a Java code, how they can access this output variable is they will declare a variable with the same data type. Any name you can give, they can give their own names. Okay, so they will call the procedure like this way, at the rate of name, the direction, output. Okay, so then when you are executing this one, the value whatever is coming from this procedure, that is Smith or whatever, will assign into this variable. This variable is a Java variable. They will declare their variable, and the value whatever it is returning is coming into this variable. If you want to see whether it is assigning in the variable or not, you can write down select at the rate of name. Right. So this is the way we are going to specify the output parameter to execute in the stored procedure. If I am executing this one, see, it is giving the name of the employee. So how it is executed in the backend? When you are calling this procedure, it will pass the input parameter 20 over here and 7369 over here, and whatever the output is coming from this query, it will store inside this output variable. So if you want to assign this output value, so you have to declare one variable over here with the same data type. No need to specify the same name. Okay, then whatever the variable you have declared, so the value is coming from this output variable will come and store inside the new variable. So you can see after assigning the value into this variable. Okay, right. The next thing is, whenever we are creating a stored procedure, not only the select statements, you can write down any kind of DML statements, DDL statement, right? In SQL Server, any kind of SQL statements, whatever you are writing, you can keep inside a stored procedure. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do here, I want to create a procedure to insert the data. Create procedure. The procedure name is u underscore emp insert. Okay, as begin, I want to write down the insert statement. Insert into emp1. Do we have the table? Select star from emp1. We don't have the table. I want to create a table. Create table emp1, employee number integer, employee name varchar, salary integer. Okay, done. So I want to insert the data into this table. The list of columns are employee number, employee name, salary. Insert into emp1, the values are, so from where you are going to take the values. I want to pass input values for this procedure. How can you pass the input values? So you can do like this way. You can create three input parameters: at the rate of employee number integer, at the rate of employee name varchar, at the rate of salary integer. Clear? You can write down values, whatever the input parameters we have created over there. Employee number, at the rate of employee name, at the rate of salary. That's all. And it. Execute it. And the command I'm going to call the procedure execute. The procedure name is, and what are the input values? I want to pass 100 as the employee number. Employee name is Ram, and the salary is 3000. I want to pass. One row affected. We'll check whether this procedure is inserted the data or not. Select start from EMP1. See, one row inserted. Now my requirement is, instead of creating these three parameters, and from these three parameters you can send only single value. Only you can send 100 RAM 3000. At a time, if you want to send more than single value, I want to insert in the bulk, I want to pass input parameter for this procedure in a more than single value. Like for example, I want to send 200 Sandhya and 4000, 300 and the and 4000, 5000. Okay. And the next value is 400, any value. So in this way, how can you send all these values as a input parameter at a time to this procedure? So normally if you want to send input parameter for the procedure, you can declare the variables and the data types. So this is a table structure, it's a table data 200 and more than single value, and the structure is employee number, employee name, salary. So more than one rows if you want to pass as input parameters, how can you pass? Right? So we have one option in the SQL server. You can create a table data type, right? You can create a table data type. So normally what kind of data types we have? Integer data type, varchar data type, date data type, and varchar, right? So the same way, what we are going to do here, I want to create my own user defined database data type. That data type will define the structure also. Varchar means it will allow anyone employee name, Ram or Sandhya or Deepthi or Swarna or Varun or Sagar, whatever. And integer means it will take 100, 200, 300, whatever. Date time means it will allow to pass the date. The same way, I want to define a I want to define a data type, a table data type, and I will give the structure of the table also. So how to create a table data type? So we just go to types. Under the types, there are user defined data types, right? Okay. So if you want to create a new type, see here under user defined data types, I have already one created. If you want to create a new one, right click, new user defined table type. This is the create script for the new one. Okay. So what are the things you want to give? You can specify here. Create type, and what is the name you want to give? For your type, I want to give EMP data type. So how your varchar, int, and varchar the data types. So you are going to create a new data type, that is emp data type, right? So what are the columns you want to specify inside here? Employee number, integer, employee name, varchar, salary, integer. Okay, so I'm going to create this one, execute it. Command completed successfully. You can refresh it. Yes, you are creating a new data type. The data type is emp data type. Okay, now what I want to do, instead of taking three variables, I'm going to specify a single variable, that is emp variable. The data type is whatever the data type we have created here. So you have to put read only, because you can't use this table data type parameters as a output parameter. You can use only input parameters. Okay, you can use only input parameters. Create procedure, procedure name, and the variable, the data type, the data type of the variable is emp data type, and this is read only. We don't require. Okay, right. I'm sorry. Right. So now what we have to do? Instead of passing these single values, you can simply write down select employee number, employee name, salary from this variable. Just alter this procedure. Alter. Command completed successfully. Okay. So the data type of this variable is emp data type. So what is the structure for the emp data type? For integer, normally you are passing value like this way, 100, 200. For varchar, RAM or Sandhya or Deepthi. For this kind of data type, this is a new data type we have created, emp data type. So for this you have to pass employee number, comma, employee name, comma, salary, and another employee number, another employee name, another salary. Okay, so this is the structure you have to pass the as a input parameter. So how can we call this procedure? Right, so just come over here. First declare one variable, declare at the rate of emp table values, sorry, insert into, give me a second. So what we are doing, so we have to call this procedure. Okay, so first declare a table variable, declare at the rate of emp, and the structure is what kind of data type is one? The data type is this data type, right? So for this table variable we are going to insert some values. Insert into at the rate of emp. What are the list of columns? Employee number, employee name, salary, and the values you want to insert is 200, Sandhya 2000, comma 300, Swaran 3000, comma 400, Deepthi 4000, comma 500, Himaja, comma 6000. Okay, so now if you have to specify the variable over here. Okay, right. See here how to call a procedure having table data type input parameter. So for this input parameter, it's a table data type. The structure is employee number, employee name, salary we have. Right? So what I'm going to do here, for this procedure, for this variable, the data I'm going to pass this one. We'll see whether it will insert or not. Command completed successfully, 4 rows affected. We'll check whether it is inserted the data into this table or not. EMP1 table. Select star from EMP1. See, data inserted. So in what kind of scenarios these kind of requirements will come? In application level, this is your SQL server. They want to insert, they want to pass some values for your procedure in a bulk. They will send at a time 100 rows. So your procedure has to insert these 100 rows. So in that situation, you can create it data type, the table data type, right? And so this is coming from your Java code. Okay, so I want to just demonstrate how the data will come and how to execute a table variable input parameter for a procedure. Okay, so you just forget about this one. We are just giving the information like this way. We are writing the procedure and we are giving this one. So if you are feeling difficult to test a procedure how to execute, just directly go to this procedure and right click on the procedure. Which procedure you want to execute? For example, if you want to execute EMP info procedure, just right click on the procedure, execute stored procedure. So it is asking the input parameter, department number 20 and employee number I want to give 7369. Click OK. See, it is giving the result. Okay, this is the way, another way to call a procedure, to execute a procedure. Okay,